sea, and Jagannatha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged their feelings very blissfully. When the cars reached the place known as Balagandi, the devotees offered the deities simple food. At this time, in a nearby garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees took a brief rest for the dancing. Sajiyat Krishna Chaitanya Sirathagre Nanartayah Yenasija Jagatam Chitram Jagannatho Api Vismitaha. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who danced in the front of the car of Sri Jagannatha, be all glorified. By seeing his dancing, not only was the whole universe held in wonder, but Lord Jagannatha himself became very much astonished. Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra and all glories to devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Jaya Srota Gana Sunakari Ekamana Rath Yatraya Nitya Prabhur Parama Mohana. All glories to the listeners of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please hear the descriptions of the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra festival. His dancing is very enchanting. Please hear of it with great attention. Aradina Mahaprabhu Hana Swadhana Aradina Mahaprabhu Hana Savadhana Ratre Uti Gana Sange Kaila Prata Snana. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates got up in the dark and attentively took their early morning baths. Sri Chaitanya Pandu Vijaya Dekhi Bare Karila Gamana Jagannatha Yatra Kaila Chadi Simhasana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates then went to see the ceremony of Pandu Vijaya. During this ceremony, Lord Jagannatha leaves his throne and gets up onto the car. Apani Pratapa Rudra Lana Patra Gana Mahaprabhura Gane Karaye Vijaya Darsana. King Pratap Rudra in a person, as well as his entourage, allowed the Pandu Vijaya ceremony to be seen by all the associates of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Nitai Adi Sangha Bhakta Gana Sukhe Mahaprabhu Deke Iswara Gamana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his prominent devotees Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu and others were very happy to observe how Lord Jagannatha began the Rath Yatra. Balishta Daitya Gana Yena Matta Hati Jagannatha Vijay Karaye Kari Hata Hati. The very strong-built Daityas, carriers of Jagannatha deity, were as powerful as drunken elephants. They manually carried Lord Jagannatha from the throne to the car. Purport. The word Daitya refers to one who has received the mercy of Lord. Lord Jagannatha has a number of stalwart servants known as Daityas. These servants do not come from very high caste families, Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaisyas, but because they are engaged in the service of the Lord, they have been elevated to the respected position. Thus, they are known as Daityas. These servants of Lord Jagannatha take care of the Lord from the day of the Snan Yatra up to the time Lord is carried from the throne to the Ratha car. In the Kshetra Mahatmya, these Daityas are said to come from the Savara, a caste that keeps and sells pigs. However, among the Daityas, there are also many who come from the Brahmana caste. Those Daityas coming from the Brahmana families are called Daityapatis or leaders of the Daityas. The Daityapatis offered food such as sweetmeats to Lord Jagannatha during the Anavasara, the resting period after Snan Yatra. They also make the early morning offering of sweetmeats daily. It is said that during the Navasra, Lord Jagannatha suffers from a fever and that the Daityapatis offer him an infusion of drugs represented by fruit juice. It is said that in the beginning Lord Jagannatha was worshipped by Savaras and was known as the Daitya and was known as the deity Nilmadhava. Later, when the deity was established in the temple, the Lord became known as Jagannatha. Because the deity were taken from the Sabras, all the Sabras devotees were elevated to the position of Daityas. So this is a brief history of Lord Jagannatha. The Lord was residing in Nilachala as a Nilamadhav deity. And then we know the history that how the Lord Indradimna Maharaj, how he received the deities as Lord Jagannatha and then started worshipping deities. And those people who were worshipping earlier in the Nilamadhav, as a Nilamadhav, they were all Savara clans of people, and they were assigned to worship the Lord during the Anavasra period. Now we are celebrating Anavasra period after Snan Yatra to Rath Yatra. This time where the Lord, we don't have opportunity to see the Lord, is called Anavasra. So the Lord is taken inside his personal quarters where he's given a rest. Then his diet is completely changed. We know that Lord is offered Chappan Bhog quite many times every day, but during this time he is given very simple food like a dry chapati and boiled vegetables like that, and he is also given some medicines like Ayurvedic medicines, Dasmula, Rishtam, Kasayam, Churnam, like that, Rasayanam. So all different types of medicines are given, Brahmastra, all different types of medicines are given for the Lord so that he can quickly recover. So this Rath Yatra is celebrated because during this time devotees, when they visit the temple, they are not able to see the Lord, so they are very disappointed. So as soon as Lord recovers, he gets on his chariot and goes to see the devotees or gives his darshan to his devotees who were not able to see during Anavasra period. So here we see also that how Lord Jagannatha so eagerly has got up early in the morning and taken a nice bath, and he has come to see Pandav Vijaya festival. The Pandav Vijaya festival is said that when the Lord is getting down from his throne and getting on the chariot. So this whole movement is celebrated as Vijaya Pandav festival, Pandav Vijaya festival. Kataka Daitya Kare Skanda Alambana, Kataka Daitya Dhare Sri Padma Charana. While carrying the deities of Lord Jagannatha, some of the Daityas took hold of the soldiers of the Lord and some caught his lotus feet. Kati tate baddha didha sthula pata dori doi dike daita gana uthaya taha dhari. Lord Jagannatha deity was bound at the waist by a strong, thick rope made of the silk. From two sides of the Daityas caught hold of this rope and raised the deity. Uccha didha tuli saba pati sthane sthane ekatuli haite twaraya aratulite ane. Strong puffed up cotton pads called tulis were spread out from the throne to the car, and the heavy deities of Lord Jagannatha was carried from one pillow-like pad to the next by the Daityas. Prabhu pada ghate tuli haya khanda khanda tula saba udiyaya saba haya prachanda. While the Daityas carried the heavy Jagannatha deities from one pad to the next, some of the pads broke and cotton contents floated into the air. When they broke, they made a heavy cracking sound. Vishwambara Jagannathe ke chalite pare apana ikshaye chale karite vihare. Lord Jagannatha is the maintainer of the whole universe. Who can carry him from one place to another? The Lord moves by his personal will just to perform his pastimes. Mahaprabhu Manima Manima Kare Dhvani Nana Vadya Kolahale Kichuna Suni. While the Lord was transported from the throne to the car, tempestuous sounds were made on various musical instruments. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting Manima, Manima, but he could not be heard. The word Manima is used to address a respectable person in Orissa. Lord Jagannatha was being respectfully addressed by Sri Chaitanya in this way. Tabe pratap rudra kare apane sevana suvarna marjani lana kare pata samarjana. While the Lord was being carried from the throne to the car, King Pratap Rudra personally engaged in the Lord's service by cleansing the road with a broom that had a golden handle. Chandana jalete kare patani se chane tuchcha seva kare basi raja simhasane. The king sprinkled the road with the sandalwood scented water. Although he was owner of the royal throne, he engaged in menial service for the sake of Lord Jagannatha. Uttamahana raja kare tuchcha sevana ataeva jagannathera kripara bhajana. Although the king was the most exalted respectable person, still he accepted menial service for the Lord. He therefore became a suitable candidate for receiving the Lord's mercy. Mahaprabhu sukha paila se seva dekhite, Mahaprabhu kripa haile se seva haite. Upon seeing the king engaged in such menial service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. Simply by rendering this service, the king received the mercy of the Lord. Purport: unless one receives the mercy of the Lord, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or engage in his devotional service. Atapi te deva padambhujadvaya prasada lesangrite eva hi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko api chiram vichinvan. Bhagavatam 10.14.29. A devotee who has received even a small fraction of mercy of the Lord can understand him. Others may engage in theoretical speculation to understand the Lord, but they cannot know anything about him. Although Maharaj Pratapruddha was very eager to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord refused to see him. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the king engaged in menial service for Lord Jagannatha, he became very happy. Thus the king became eligible to receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. If a devotee accepts Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the universal Guru and Lord Jagannatha as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he is benefited by the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna. That is stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his instructions to Rupa Goswami. Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Madhya 19.151. ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते कोना भाग्यवान जी गुरु कृष्ण प्रसादे पाए भक्ति लता बीज. The seed of devotional service fructifies and becomes a transcendental creeper. Finally, it reaches the lotus feet of the Lord in the spiritual sky. This seed is obtained by the mercy of Lord and the Guru. By the Lord's mercy, one gets the association of bona fide Guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets a chance to render devotional service. Devotional service, the science of Bhakti Yoga, carries one from this material world to the spiritual world. So this is very, very instructive pastime, that how King Pratap Rudra very naturally receives the mercy of Lord. We know that King Pratap Rudra very much he was trying to see Lord Chaitanya, but he was not able to get appointment because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he was playing the pastime of a sannyasi, so he never wished to see king who is supposed to be Visayi, surrounded by objects of sense gratification. So he always refused. Actually, he was very strict about this. But now we are seeing here completely 180 degree shift, turning point, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw King Pratap Rudra was engaged in a menial service, so it's completely melted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. His attitude was completely now changed. He received King Prataprudra received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is actually secret in our devotional service. One thing Krishna doesn't tolerate is pride. We see in the pastimes of rasa dance also. The gopis actually it's a transcendental pride, but still gopis were thinking that they are the most fortunate women in the world to get such a personal association of the Lord. So being just slightly proud, they lost association of Lord Krishna. He disappeared from rasa dance, from all of them sides. So this one thing Krishna does not actually tolerate in his devotees, to become proud. Other pastimes we can recall that how Indra became proud, and then to teach him lesson, Krishna lifted the whole Govardhana hill. He's called Giridhari. He performed these pastimes just to correct Indra. So Lord does not like the pride in his devotees. And one quality which Lord likes very much in his devotees is humility, just opposite of pride. Humility. See the pastimes of how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they approached Lord Chaitanya. They just from far distance, as soon as they saw Lord Chaitanya, they just paid obeisances, Dandvat Pranama, and they were carrying grass in the sign of humility in their mouth, and they are paying obeisances. The Lord Chaitanya noticed them, and then he called them from distant place. He called them to come nearby, and they came, and then they started glorifying the Lord and presenting himself very humbly. They said, "We don't know who are we." Actually, people in the village talk, they call us Pandit, Mahapandit, great learned person. But we are so greatly fooled, we do not know who are we. We do not want to suffer, but why we are suffering? We do not know all these things, and people yet call us Pandita. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was hearing all these things. Actually, they were just so naturally, humbly speaking, the Lord was not able to tolerate. He said that, stop your humility. Fate mora mana, your humility is breaking my heart. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not able to, bear it anymore. And he said that, no, don't be like this. And then immediately he gave all his full mercy. He said that hereafter you will be called Rupa and Sanatana. Before that, we know though they were from very high class Brahmin family, Saraswat Brahmin in Bengal, one of the topmost Brahmin family. So though they belong to this highest Brahmin family, but they were serving that time Muhammadan king, so they were outcast. And Muhammad king gave them an honorary title because they were his secretary and like prime minister and finance minister. So they called Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas. And then when they approached Lord Chaitanya, immediately, instantly, he gave his full mercy to them. And he accepted them and initiated them that hereafter you will be called Rupa and Sanatana. So this pastimes here, another pastimes we see that how though Prataprudra was several times denied the appointment, even Lord Nityananda, Advaita Acharya and all his associates, they approached and pleaded the Lord, no, you should see the king will die, he will become beggar, and all those pastimes we know, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never agreed. But here we see, just by seeing this humble attitude, the Lord heart is changed now. So natural. So in our bhakti, even we artificially practice humility. Actually, it is good. It will help us to facilitate our Krishna consciousness. Of course, we should be very naturally try to be humble. So humility is attract the Lord the most. Tinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahisuna maha amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shastakam telling that we should be humbler than a grass in the street. So this humility we should all practice. Actually, Prabhupada is writing here that we cannot know Krishna by our own endeavor. Of course, the endeavor is required, but more than endeavor, we need the mercy of the Lord. You see, with these past times, we see here that how Yashoda Maya is binding Krishna. So she is putting all her endeavor, but finally, when Krishna showed her mercy, his mercy, she was able to tie Krishna. So our endeavor actually is required, but more than that, mercy of the Lord is required. But by mercy of the Lord only we can know Him. We can never be so qualified to know Him. So how we can attract the mercy of the Lord? So being humble. So King Prataprudra was, though he was a king, he was a very powerful king, but still he is performing menial service for the pleasure of the Lord. So just by doing menial service, he expressed his humility. So therefore, when we perform devotional service, we should not think that this service is greater, this service is small. All service is actually equal. And we should see in the attitude to please the Lord, how this service is going to please the Lord. Our connection, this should be like that. So our humble attitude actually attracts the mercy of the Lord. So this is very instructive pastimes. Ratera sajani deki loka chamatkara nava hemamaya ratha sumeru akara. Everyone was astonished to see the decorations on the Ratha car. The car appeared to be newly made of gold, and it was as high as Mount Sumeru. Purport: in the year 1973, there was a gorgeous Rath Yatra festival in London, England, and the car was brought to the Trafalgar Square. The London daily newspaper, The Guardian, published a front page photo, captions, ISKCON Rath Yatra is rival to the Nelson's column in Trafalgar Square. Nelson column is very impressive statue of Lord Nelson and can be seen from good distance. Just as the residents of Puri compared the Ratha car to the Mount Sumeru, the residents of London considered the car rival to the Nelson monument. Prabhupada is trying to relate, though the Mount Sumeru is very, very high, but still, out of enthusiasm and comparison, it is said that it is as like Mount Sumeru. See that the Lord beauty can never be compared with anything, is infinitely beautiful, but still his beautiful face is Mukha Chandra, his beautiful eyes is compared with lotus eyed, Kamal Nayana, lotus feet, lotus navel. So because all they are beautiful objects and something which can be related with the Lord's beauty. So in this connection only is how I said that it was so high, it's like a Mount Sumeru. So one thing is to have a material vision. We know that how the Lord deities is not matter. There is Tumi Murti Nahi Sakshat Brajendra Nandana. The Lord Himself is residing. So something with material object we are trying to compare a spiritual person. So spiritual things. So it's little incompatible. Like we see that a small soul is driving the whole body. The small, we can't even see with the best of microscope, but it is driving the whole body. So we see how the Ratha chariot it will be surely, comparatively if we see also, it will be much more than Mount Sumeru. Sata sata su chamara darpani ujjvala upare pataka sobhe chandoya nirmala. The decorations included bright mirrors and hundreds of chamara, white whisk made of yak tails. On the top of the car were a neat and clean canopy and very beautiful flag. So you can visualize the appearance of chariot. So we can see that on the clothes there are so many mirrors are sticked, and then charmer has, there's so many charmers are there, and there's a neat and clean canopy, and the Lord's asan is there, on top of that canopy is there, and a beautiful flag. A flag is there on the top of the chariot. The car was also decorated. Ghagara kinkini baje ghantar kvanita nana chitra patta vastre ratha vibhusita. The car was also decorated with silken cloth and various pictures. Many brass bells, gongs, and ankle bells rang. Leelaya chadila Iswar rather upara aradui rathe chade Saubhadra haladhara. For the pastimes of Rath Yatra ceremony, Lord Jagannatha got aboard one car, and his sister Subhadra and elder brother Balarama got aboard two other cars. Panchadasa Dina Iswara Mahalakshmi Lana Tanara Sange Krida Kaila Nibhrite Vasiya. For the 15 days the Lord had remained in the secluded place with the Supreme Goddess of Fortune and had performed his pastimes with her. So this is about Anavasara ceremony. Purport: the 15 days period of Anavasara is also called the Nibhrita, in honor of the solitary place where the Supreme Goddess of Fortune lives. After living there a fortnight, Lord Jagannatha took permission from the Goddess of Fortune to leave. Tanhara sammati lana bhakte sukha dite rathe chadi bahira haila vihara karite. Having taken permission from Goddess of Fortune, the Lord came out to ride on the Ratha car and perform his pastimes for the pleasure of the devotees. Purport: in this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that as an ideal husband, Lord Jagannatha remained 15 days in a secluded place with his wife, the Supreme Goddess of Fortune. Nonetheless, the Lord wanted to come out of seclusion to give happiness to his devotees. The Lord enjoys himself in two ways, known as Swakiya and Parkiya. Lord's conjugal love in the Swakiya rasa relates to the regulative principles observed in the Dwarka, where the Lord has many married queens. But in Vrindavana, the conjugal love of Lord is not with his married wives, but with his girlfriends, the gopis. The conjugal love with the gopis is called Parkiya rasa. Lord Jagannatha leaves the secluded place where he enjoys the company of the Supreme Goddess of Fortune in Swakiya rasa, and he goes to Vrindavana, where he enjoys the Parkiya rasa. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore reminds us that the Lord's pleasure in Parkiya rasa is superior to his pleasure in Swakiya rasa. In the material world, Parkiya rasa or loving affairs with unmarried girlfriend is the most degraded relationship. But in the spiritual world, this type of loving affair is considered the supreme enjoyment. In the material world, everything is but a reflection of the spiritual world, and that reflection is perverted. We cannot understand the affairs of the spiritual world on the basis of our experience in the material world. The Lord's pastimes with the gopis are therefore misunderstood by mundane scholars and word wranglers. The Parkiya rasa of the spiritual world should not be discussed except by one who is very advanced in pure devotional service. The Parkiya rasa in the spiritual world and that in the material world are not comparable. The former is like gold and later is like iron. Because the difference between the two is so great, they cannot actually be compared. However, just as knowledgeable person can easily distinguish gold from iron, one who has the proper realization can easily distinguish the transcendental activities of the spiritual world from material activities. So it's compared, the lust in the material world is compared like iron, and the spiritual world, the Parkiya Rasa, the Lord's dealing with gopis is considered with gold. So there is no comparison. And person with realization, self-realization can make a distinction. So in the material world, things around surrounding our desires and our desires for sense gratification. So in the lust, our desires for sense gratification is the most prominent. And in uh, dealings of Lord Krishna with gopis, uh, uh, the desire, the extreme desires to give satisfaction to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most prominent. So there is not even tinge of desire for one's personal enjoyment. They completely want to satisfy the Lord. So that is the distinction between kama and prema. So when we try to please the Lord, want to do everything for Him without considering our happiness, unhappiness. Sri Jagannath Baldev Swadha Maharani ki, Sri Prahlad Nrsimha Dev Bhagwan ki, Sri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai. So this is there's a spiritual world and this is material world. Spiritual world, everything is rotating out of love for Krishna. In material world, everything is rotating around our desire for sense gratification. Bhoga vritti and seva, attitude to enjoy and the attitude to serve the Lord. So this is the difference. Text 25. Sukshma sevata balu pathe puline rasama dui dikhe tota sabe yena vrindavana. The fine white sand spread all over the path resembled the bank of Yamuna, and the small gardens on the both sides looked just like those in Vrindavana. रते चढ़ी जगन्नाथ करिला गमना दुई पार्श्वे देखी चले आनंदित मना. As Lord Jagannatha rode in his car and saw the beauty on both sides, his mind was filled with pleasure. Gauda Sabha Kariya Ananda Chane Sigra Chale Rata Chane Chale Manda. The pullers of the car were known as Gaudas, and they pulled with great pleasure. However, the car sometimes went very fast and sometimes very slow. So we know this time the Lord's pastime in Jagannath Puri, the Lord is last time I heard the Lord same day reached Gundicha. No, this time the Lord first whole day the Lord chariot was standing there only. It moved only few meters. Now second day the Lord has started moving very slowly, and we don't know how many days more it will take to reach to Gundicha. So the Lord is actually moving by His own sweet wheel. That's what is mentioned here. The pullers of the car were known as Gaudas, and they pulled with great pleasure. However, the car sometimes went very fast and sometimes very slow. Chane sthira hana rahe tani leha na chale, Ishwar ikchaye chale na chale karo bale. Sometimes the car would stand still and not move, even though it was pulled very vigorously. The chariot therefore moved by the will of the Lord, not by the strength of any ordinary person. So this is some of the mysteries we can see. In Jagannath Puri there are a lot of mysteries. So many mysteries are there. People say there's a very mysterious temple. Some of this that the cooking pot in the bottom, the top it's cooked first and the bottom is cooked last. And there is a boundary wall is there. Just outside the boundary wall there is a great noise coming from the ocean. But just we move inside, one step inside, then we see there is no noise at all. So like that there are so many mystery about Jagannath Puri, and one of these mysteries is the Lord's moving on the chariot. So even though people try very hard, but the chariot does not move according to their pulling force. Actually, the chariot is moving by the desire of the Lord, by as he wills, that he moves. So this is another mystery. So we cannot understand by our physics law. So all laws are created by the Lord. Everything is his energies. So the Lord, as he wishes, he controls them. Paramananda Puri Ara Bharati Brahmananda Sri Haste Chandana Pana Badila Ananda. Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati were both personally given garlands and sandalwood pulp from the very hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This increased their transcendental pleasure. Advaitacharya Ara Prabhu Nityananda Sri Hasta Sparse Duhara Haila Ananda. Similarly, when Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu felt the touch of the transcendental hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very pleased. Kirtaniya Gane Dila Malya Chandana Swarupa Srivasa Hana Mukhe Dui Jana. The Lord also gave garlands and sandalwood pulp to the performance of Sankirtana. The two chief performers were Swarup Damodara and Srivas Thakur. Chari Sampradaye Haila Chabbisa Gayana Dui Dui Mridanga Kika Haila Asta Jana. There were altogether 4 parties of Kirtana performance comprising 24 chanters. In each party there were also 2 Mridangas players, making an additional 8 persons. So totally we see that 4 parties. In the 4 parties, altogether 24 chanters were there, and also in each party there were 2 Mridanga players. So 24 plus 8, 32 people. Tabe Mahaprabhu Mane Vichara Kariya Chari Sampradaya Dila Gayana Bhatiya. When the 4 parties were formed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some considerations, divided the chanters. Nityananda Advaita Haridas Vakreshware Chari Jane Agya Dila Nityakari Bare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur and Vakreshwar Pandit to dance in each of the 4 respective parties. Prathama Sampradaye Kaila Swarupa Pradhana Ara Pancha Jana Dila Tanare Palingana. Swarup Damodar was chosen as the leader of the first party and was given 5 assistants to respond to his chanting. Damodar Narayana Datta Govinda Raghav Pandit Ara Sri Govindananda. The 5 who responded to the singing of Swarup Damodar were Damodar Pandit, Narayana, Govinda Datta, Raghav Pandit and Sri Govindananda. Advaitera Nitya Karibare Agya Dile Srivasa Pradhani Ara Sampradaya Kaila. Advaita Acharya Prabhu was ordered to dance in the first group. The Lord then formed another group with Srivas Thakur as the chief man. Purport. In the first group, Damodar Swarup was appointed chief singer, and the responding singers were Damodar Pandit, Narayan, Govinda Datta, Raghav Pandita and Govindananda. Sri Advaita Acharya was appointed as a dancer. The next group was formed, and the chief singer was Srivas Thakur. Text 39. Gangadas Haridas Sriman Subhananda Sri Rama Pandita Taha Nache Nityananda. The 5 singers who responded to the singing of Srivas Thakur were Gangadas, Haridas, Sriman, Subhananda and Sri Rama Pandit. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was appointed as a dancer. Vasudeva Gopinath Murari Yaha Gaya Mukunda Pradhana Kaila Ara Sampradaya. Another group was formed consisting of Vasudeva, Gopinath and Murari. All these were responsive singers, and Mukunda was the chief singer. Srikantara Vallabha Sena Ara Dui Jana Haridasa Thakur Taha Karera Nartana. Another 2 persons, Srikant and Vallabh Sena, joined as responsive singers. In this group, the senior Haridas Thakur was the dancer. In the third group, Mukunda was appointed as chief singer. This party was composed of Vasudeva, Gopinath, Murari, Srikanta and Vallabh Sen. The senior Haridas Thakur was the dancer. Govinda Ghosh Pradhana Kaila Ara Sampradaya Haridas Vishnudas Raghav Yaha Gaya. The Lord formed another group appointing Govinda Ghosh as leader. In this group, the younger Haridas, Vishnudas and Raghav were the responding singer. Madhav Vasudeve Ghosh Dui Sahodara Nityakare Taha Pandit Vakreshwara. Two brothers named Madhav Ghosh and Vasudeva Ghosh also joined this group as responsive singer. Vakreshwar Pandit was the dancer. Kulina Gramera Eka Kirtaniya Samaja Taha Nityakarena Ramananda Satya Raja. There was a Sankirtan party from the village known as Kulin Gram, and Ramananda and Satyaraj were appointed the dancers in this group. Santipurer Acharya Eka Sampradaya Achyutananda Nache Tata Ara Sabagaya. There was another party that came from Santipura and was formed by Advaita Acharya. Achyutananda was the dancer and the rest of the men were singers. Khandera Sampradaya Kare Atyanta Kirtana Narhari Nache Taha Si Raghunandana. Another party was formed by the people of Khanda. These people were singing in different places. In that group, Narhari Prabhu and Raghunandan were dancing. So, Jagannather Age Chari Sampradaya Gaya Dui Pase Dui Pache Ek Sampradaya. Four parties chanted and danced in front of Lord Jagannatha, and on and either side was another party, yet another was at the rear. So we see there, initially we heard that there were 7 parties and Lord Chaitanya used to dance in all the 7 parties. But the Lord Chaitanya only composed 4 parties. So where the 3 parties came. It's mentioned that the 3 parties came, one from Kulina Grama and another one from the village called Khanda, and another party came from Santipur. So these 3 parties and the 4 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu formed. So altogether 7 parties. So it's mentioned that 4 parties chanting in front of the Ratha and 1 party on either side and 1 back side. So totally 7 parties are there. On back side also 1 party was singing. So we'll conclude with this. I'll read a few more texts. Sata Sampradaye Bhaje Chauda Mandala Yara Dhvani Suni Vaishnava Haila Pagala. They were all together 7 parties of Sankirtana, and in each party 2 men were beating drums. Thus 14 drums were being played at once. The sound was tumultuous and the devotees became mad. Vaishnavera Mega Ghataya Haila Badala Kirtananande Sabha Varste Netra Jala. So you can see the situation of devotees. They have become almost mad. Said that all the Vaishnavas came together like an assembly of clouds. As the devotees chanted the holy names in great ecstasy, tears fell from their eyes like rain. So this comparison is given. It's like a cloud and the tears coming like a rain. Tribhuvana bhari uthe kirtane radhvani anya vadyadira dhvani kichu na suni. When the Sankirtan resounded, it filled the 3 worlds. Indeed, no one could hear any sound of musical instrument other than the Sankirtana. So there is not list of exaggeration here. The Sankirtana is going on in Jagannath Puri, but the whole world, the whole universe is filled with musical instruments, sounds of musical instruments. You can see that how when Lord Krishna was given bathing by Indra, Surabhi, it's mentioned that the whole of universe they were filled with all kind of auspicious things. Everywhere it is filled with auspicious things, and the Brahmanas were finding it so convenient to perform their ritual, their daily duties. Similarly, just the Sankirtan is performed in Jagannath Puri, but the whole world is filled with the transcendental sound. You can see another pastimes of Lord, that he ate small, no, little clay. But Mother Yashoda, when she asked to open the mouth, she was able to see the whole universe, or everything. She was able to see, and she was able to see inside herself with Krishna in one same place. So we another Akrura Ghata, we see that how the Akrura was able to visualize the whole spiritual world. So whatever is said here is actually it's exactly fact. When the Sankirtana resounded, it filled the three worlds. Indeed, no one could hear any sounds or musical instruments other than the Sankirtana. One more verse. Text number 51. साथ धानी भूले प्रभु हरि हरि बलि जय जगन्नाथ बलेन हस्त युग तुली. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered through all 7 groups, chanting the holy name Hari Hari. Raising his hands, he shouted all glories to Lord Jagannath. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting Hari Hari and shouting Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. This is the scene. Dantasi Caitanya-Caritāmṛta ki jai, Patitvaṁ Prabhupada ki jai.